It is Monday, February 22nd. From the Jock and Nerd podcast, we got the Jock, Anthony, joining myself, PC Mike, and the Giggler to talk Memento, Thor the Dark World, and WandaVision Episode 7. This is Mostly Superheroes. And welcome to Mostly Superheroes, a weekly video podcast where we talk mostly superheroes, but anything else worth watching. We are back here in the studio. Holy cow, we are so excited to be back in here. The last time I think was before Thanksgiving. Logan here, your host, my co-host, joining me as always, PC Mike and the Giggler. PC Mike, how's it feel to be back in the studio, man?
It feels great. I don't have to talk through my Chromebook anymore. I can actually hear. My voice might sound better. I might sing later. No, it feels good to be back. We were being safe with the holidays, seeing family and stuff. So it was a smart decision, but man, it feels good to be back.
Yeah, you sound crisp. This is a little better than, we hearing the doors slam in the living rooms and back in here sounding as crisp as ever. Giggler, welcome back. Are you excited to be back? You're wearing the Mostly Superhero swag. I think you are definitely by far our biggest fan in terms of who's bought the Mostly Heroes Superheroes merch.
Everyone that I know is just getting merch for birthdays, Christmas, etc., bar mitzvahs, all the above, whatever.
Yeah,
whatever you need a gift for. So if it's very proud.
Do you know a lot of kids getting ready to have bar mitzvahs?
No, I don't know any, but that just came out of nowhere. I don't know why I said that. Honestly, it's just great to be around other humans that I don't live with. So.
Yeah, the isolation got real, especially during the holidays. So good to be back here in person. And guys, we have a very special guest today. You might remember a few weeks back, we had on the nerd of the Jock and Nerd podcast, Imran, a podcast I've listened to, I've told you guys for many years now. This week, I am pleased to announce we have the Jock side of the nerd. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Anthony. Anthony,
Howdy.
How are you, man?
Hey, I'm great. Thanks for deciding to have me. I'm a little miffed, though, that you decided to have the nerd on first rather than the Jock from the Jock and Nerd podcast. I don't know why you would do that. That was a dumb decision.
It really was. I think it's mainly just because Imran's the main one that answers your guys' emails first.
This is true. He is the nerd. So he has to so.
Well, welcome to Mostly Superheroes, man. Thanks for taking the time to join us this week. These guys had a good question.
Yeah, what's going on?
If you're the Jock... These guys are kind of my sports guys. I'm kind of the nerd of my show. I don't really follow sports. So the question is, why are you the Jock? What did you play? What are your sports? Or is it more about your knowledge on sports in general?
I did play sports in high school. I played basketball for 2 years, then was lazy to go to summer camp, so they cut me the next year. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to join wrestling out of nowhere. So I joined wrestling and did that for my last 2 years. But my sports are, the ones I follow, basketball, baseball, football, MMA, basically anything really. College football, college basketball. So knowledge plus having played in high school.
So you're a Chicago guy, right?
I am a Chicago guy, yes.
Chicago sports guy through and through.
Oh yeah, big time. I'm not one of the. Maybe you guys. I might already offend people. I don't really understand how you could live in another city, like a major city, but then not be a fan of that team.
I think for us, here in St. Louis, so we have two now. We've lost a lot.
Right.
But,
that I understand. But if you're in New York or you grew up in LA and you're like, I'm a Yankees fan. It's like, what?
I know.
Stop.
I know. That stuff irks me too. Did your parents not instill in you any pride? Pride for your hometown and your home state? That's what irks me.
Are you a White Sox fan or a Cubs fan?
I'm a Cubs fan.
Okay. And
so I'm in direct conflict with you guys, I believe.
Yeah, that's a pretty big rivalry, but like I said, I'm not really the sports guy, so I don't really lose much sleep over it.
We can look past it. We'll live.
You can't beat a day game at Wrigley, though.
Oh yeah,
you can't beat a day game at Wrigley. So
absolutely not. It's fun in many ways, more than just watching the game on the field.
Probably the field is my least favorite part of a day game at Wrigley. So the 3 blocks that surround the stadium is pretty fun too.
Well,
Super awesome.
Well, Anthony, we won't hold it against you, and we're happy to have you. And this is one of the biggest silver linings of a world that is digital now, is that we can have folks like you that are miles away, and we appreciate you taking the time to join us. And with that, let's go ahead and get into our first section of the day.
Fan mail.
We always feature fans first on this show. We appreciate you guys very much. And we're going to be real quick. We got a lot of stuff to cover in the What You Watching category today. Had to take a moment, though, highlight someone from our Twitter account. Shout it out. You know, Andy sees me all the time. I see you liking the tweets. And people are like, hey, I need a podcast recommendation. Twitter now, like the algorithm, like pretty much only shows me those tweets. Because I'm always like responding, like, if you're looking for a podcast, that's like opportunity marketing, right? So I always respond to people right away, say, hey, check us out. Desiree on Twitter, it's D. Ederick, and if you're wanting to follow her on Twitter, you can see this on our YouTube channel. And she said that she actually added an episode to her playlist, and she's going to be checking us out. So what did I say? I said, well, thank you very much. I'm going to give you a shout out on our next episode, which is happening right now. So Desiree, I hope you're listening. Shout out. I hope you're enjoying the show. Always looking for new fans to come and listen. How about you guys? Have you guys had friends giving you a lot of compliments since we started the show back up in January? Have you been hearing some good things out there? I know that you say like you get compliments all the time. So I'm like let's hear it.
I can't wait to get like just recognized in public wearing this shirt.
Well, we talked about that we got the mask now, the Mostly Superhero mask.
Oh yeah.
They'll be like, is that the Giggler?
Conversation piece everywhere.
Is he laughing behind that mask? I can't tell.
He's always giggling.
But yeah, I mean, friends are, especially this WandaVision, I think we do a great job breaking it down, and it's for a weekly short podcast to listen to. It doesn't take a lot of your time. Just listen on, and thanks to people like Desiree for adding us to their playlist for sure.
Hell yeah, Desiree. Thank you, and let us know what you think of the show. It's this easy to be featured on Fan Mail. Let us know that you're listening, and we'll feature you up here. And
I have 2 comments.
Go ahead, please, Anthony.
Number 1, Desiree, I don't know why you guys had me on this show, because I might not make the best first impression for Desiree. So I'll just say right now, this is Mostly Superheroes. I'm Jock and Nerd. You don't have to listen to my show. Just continue to listen to their show, even if I make a bad impression.
You know, it's great. We've talked about Jock and Nerd in this podcast before, but Anthony, tell us about Jock and Nerd. Where can people find you, and when are you guys' episodes dropping nowadays? Because I know it changed recently.
Yeah. And we're on all the major podcast platforms, similar to you. We don't have the video component, so you guys have the one up on that. Congratulations. jockandnerd.com, all the major podcasts. We are now dropping episodes on Wednesdays. We used to do Sundays, but now we do Wednesdays because we wanted to be a little bit more timely with our reviews from the weekend. So there you go.
I think that was the move. And I've after I get done recording and we talk about WandaVision, my very first podcast I listen to is the Jock and Nerd to see how you guys are talking about it too. So you guys have been doing a great job breaking everything down. And honestly, I feel like we got a pretty solid brain trust today to talk about all of it.
Oh yeah. The other anecdotal thing I had was in my community, I did meet like one little Jewish boy, and he did mention that he wanted to do a Mostly Superheroes bar mitzvah. I don't know if it was with your show, or he just likes superheroes in general, and that's what he wants as the characters at his bar mitzvah. I took it as a compliment for your show. So,
yeah, and I mean, if it's, I think we technically have Mostly Superheroes trademark, so it sounds like I need to sue this young kid maybe and go after him in a legal way, because I don't want him to think that he can just have the name Mostly Superheroes just for his bar mitzvah. It's our show.
Right. I think he was referencing your show, though, so I think you should.
Really? You think so? Yeah. For real? Like he was talking about the show itself?
He mentioned the bar mitzvahs, and I was like, wait a minute, this little Jewish boy was talking about this thing.
Wow.
So I put the dots together.
Andy has his finger on the pulse of bar mitzvahs in the Midwest.
This is a strange thing.
It's one of my hobbies. There's 2 this week.
Gotta be the most untruthful statement I've ever heard in my life.
You're going to be put on a list somewhere. People
Yeah,
be looking
exactly.
for the Giggler.
Exactly. Get out of here.
His name's the Giggler, and he's following all these bar mitzvahs. Something's up.
Yeah, I think I might need a new name.
The writing's on the wall on that one.
And the show is over.
So this week we typically do news and rumors right now. I said this on my Monday show. We're going to jump right into what you watching, if that's cool with everybody.
What you watching?
All right, so what you watching? You guys do a What Are You Watching on the Jock and Nerd, Anthony. And with you being our guest this week, this is where we simply tell usually one title, something that you watched this past week that you would either recommend, not recommend, or even felt lukewarm about. And want to let you go first with a group today.
Oh, wow. Putting me on the spot. So I watched, actually, it just came out this past Friday on Hulu. It's a movie called Nomadland, and it's directed by Chloe Zhao and has Frances McDormand in it. It's getting a lot of Oscar buzz. If you guys are following any of that, it's like the darling of the critics. But there's a superhero tie to this. Chloe Zhao is also directing The Eternals, which would come out, I believe, in 2022 from the MCU. So if you watch that movie, meaning Nomadland, and then think about what the Eternals could be, it's so wildly different. I mean, I don't know. It's just such a dichotomy from doing like a documentary about nomads to these 1,000-year-old aliens that maybe created the universe for Marvel. So
I have
It's an interesting
seen
watch.
I've seen the posters and the trailer for Nomadland. I have not seen it. Have you guys?
I have not watched it yet.
I've seen a poster. That's about it. I did
Um,
actually heard you guys talk about it on your most recent episode too.
Did you?
Believe.
Oh, on Jock and
Yeah,
Nerd.
when I was on my way over here.
Oh, Giggler was listening to you guys on the way over here today.
What, don't make me blush.
Well,
Well, how about this? Would you recommend it to viewers, and would you be comfortable giving it a rating? And I know you guys. I think you guys do
Sure.
a 10-point scale, so you can rate. We use a 4-point scale over here, but you can rate it however you'd like.
No, you know what? I'll acquiesce to your guys' ratings. I would give it a 3 out of 4, but I mean, as far as my recommendation, I don't think I could recommend this to most people because it's a type of movie that's very art house and very like I could see the majority of people going, nothing happened in this movie. So it's more of a movie fan. If you're interested in Nomads, if you just want to see Chloe Zhao direct beautiful things and have Frances McDormand act with real life nomads, then you could watch it. But if you're looking for some sort of amazing story with some bombastic plot, you're not going to get that in this movie. So it's a recommendation, but for the right people.
Well, and we always appreciate the grain of salt, and and giving a little context to those recommendations, keeping those in check. We appreciate that. Well, it's been on my list softly, so I think with that rating that you gave, I'm gonna put it into a hard spot on the list, and I will be watching it in the future. What about you guys? Think you'll check it out? Have you known anything about it? Have you seen a trailer or
I've
anything?
seen like you guys. I saw the poster.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's,
like
on the
it's
Apple
like
TV
a
app. It's
license-
like, watch this.
It's like license plates or something like that on the poster, right?
Yep.
But yeah, I've heard the buzz,
Okay.
and I did see that connection with the Eternals on some. It might have been comicbook.com or something like that. So it's definitely on the radar.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll keep it on. We'll keep it on our radar. We'll check it out. Maybe be talking about it on maybe our Monday episodes in the future. All right. Real quickly, let's go to Giggler. You up first. I know you had a couple items for what you watch and to update the squad on.
sure. I watched this past week, finished the whole season of Woke on Hulu. I'm gonna butcher this guy's name, but he was in. Anyone seen The New Girl?
Mm-mm.
New Girl, the
Like the
Tele-
TV show
TV
with.
show?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Lamar Morris.
Winston Lamar Morris. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said
Lamar?
I thought you said the new girl, and I was like,
Okay, sorry.
It's-
I maybe said it wrong.
it's
I,
New
I have
Girl.
not seen all that show, but I've
it's a
seen
good one.
episodes here and there. But basically, he plays a cartoonist. This will be a spoiler free review. So he plays a cartoonist. Basically has up and coming. He's up and coming, and he does this toast and butter cartoon. Really minimalistic, like weird type thing. But then he has kind of like a big mental breakdown in public, and it kind of just shows his recovery from this. And he basically kind of changed his outlook on life. Hence the term woke. So he kind of, and it also includes Blake from Workaholics. I'm a big Workaholics guy. One
Hell
of my
yeah.
favorite shows of all time. This actually kind of brought me to have the idea to rewatch those because it's been a while since that show's been on.
Yep. I just
So-
highlighted Workaholics on Mostly Superheroes, the music show today.
Thank you for
The
that.
theme song's in there. We're just waiting for you.
Yes. I
Gotta
love
stay
it.
fresh.
Gotta stay fresh. I love it. That's awesome. And yeah, it's a good show. I'd recommend it. Would give it about 3.1 probably.
3.1,
Good
solid
start.
score. Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, you guys should watch it. It's a good quick watch. Only like 25-minute episodes, eight of them. So we cranked that baby out in one weekend. It's good to be back on the binging game.
Especially if you're the giggler. I mean, you can. I bet you watched it in a half a day.
No, we stretch it out into 2 days.
Very cool, very cool. And let's move on. PC Mike, what you got this week?
First, I want to let Anthony know this guy, the giggler, he binge watches shows literally like it's his job. He watched the whole series of Dexter in what, 2 weeks?
It really was like 2
It
weeks.
was-
Wow.
3 weeks to a
3 weeks.
month,
Oh,
maybe.
excuse me. Excuse me. It was 3 weeks.
Yeah, it was bad. I mean, what else we do in these quarantine?
Oh, we're
times?
not
It's like-
judging. I mean, why do you think you're on this podcast?
I know exactly.
It's your superpower.
It's yeah.
I appreciate your stamina. That's good.
Doesn't carry over in other areas of life, but whatever.
Yeah, right. You're
Can't
doing
comment
you're
on
doing
that.
you're doing the 75 hard.
Hey, he's doing 75
Oh
hard.
yeah.
Is he? Oh, you're doing 75 hard?
Yeah. I
That's awesome. Good for you.
think
That's real commitment
today's
right
day
there.
50 or so.
Day 50?
That's awesome.
Yep.
Thank you.
Oh yeah,
guys.
here I'll
Thank you
give it
guys.
up. I'll
Yeah.
give it up.
That's huge.
We're
yeah.
we're supporting you here, Ollie. We've told you that we're keeping you accountable, asking about it every week.
I appreciate it. Listeners, now they have more nice angles to see these guns.
Me and Logan ate 2 chili dogs before we started.
Andy watched us eat 2 chili dogs literally right before we started.
You might need
recording.
to have him switch seats over there so we can see like that right arm.
Oh,
It's kind of it's a little hidden in the corner over there.
We got another angle too, so we're
Yeah.
we
Oh,
got-
yeah.
Okay, yeah. When we get those angles, that's when
I've been
when it
flexing
really
for the
counts,
last 30 minutes, so
Oh man.
I've been
I
sucking
might
in.
pass out. Also from the back pain too.
Yeah, he's texting us on his way over. He's like, I got a back injury, and he's been laying on the ground every 10 minutes.
I'm up right now. I'm good.
You're okay?
Yeah, it's a good, comfy spot.
As long as he doesn't move his head,
yeah.
he just
Good,
turns
comfy
with his
spot.
whole body.
All right, PC Mike, what'd you watch this week?
I got 2 quick things. I watched on HBO Max Jimmy Carter, Rock and Roll President. It is a biography about former President Jimmy Carter and his tie to rock and roll. And it had Willie Nelson. It had the Allman Brothers Band. It had all these quick little things. And I loved it. I love classic rock. My dad, I grew up on the Allman Brothers. I've seen the Allman Brothers live. And how they played into this was awesome. Quick story from it that I thought was hilarious to make you watch this. It's only an hour and a half. Jimmy Carter was telling the story in Willie Nelson's book. He talks about smoking pot at the White House. And in his book, he says he smoked pot with a White House aide. And Jimmy Carter says, no, that's a lie. It was actually my son, and he didn't want to tell on him. So Willie Nelson smoked pot with Jimmy Carter's son at the White House. And it's a cool story about how basically rock and roll got Jimmy Carter elected. They were having all these concerts and shows raising money for Jimmy Carter to be this president of the United States, and it got him in the office. And they talked about his presidency, his successes. They talked about his failures with the Iran hostage situation. But it really just kind of highlighted Jimmy Carter and how good of a person he really is. So it was an awesome watch. I loved it. I would recommend it to anybody. If I'm scoring it, I think it's kind of niche. If you're in that rock and roll kind of, I gave it like a 3.3. I mean, it was awesome for me.
Well, yeah, that's a hell of a review, and I'll just speak candidly. I don't really know a ton about Jimmy Carter, so like it'll think and like that little story, that little tidbit, that's enough for me to go check it out.
Yeah, and like Garth Brooks was even on there, and just all different kinds of people, and it was really, really good.
Anthony, are you familiar with this one?
I've not heard of this at all. I know who Jimmy Carter is, but
Well,
I've
that's
not heard of this.
That's probably a good start.
Yeah.
That's
so-
more
Yeah,
than more than I knew apparently.
Yeah, I saw it on.
You didn't know who
HBO
Jimmy Carter
yesterday.
Well, I know who he is, but like I don't know who he is. Sounds like that's what this documentary is all about. It's like
Oh,
going
right,
in a
right,
little
right.
deeper.
Yeah, I mean, it's just his life, and he's from a small town in Georgia, and how he rose to the presidency, and now how he builds thousands of houses, and he's just a great person. He really is.
Strong rating. All right, what else you got?
Last thing I watched Justice League recently.
Wow.
And,
Oh.
and I'm going to say that, hey, I enjoyed it more than the first time I watched it in 2017. I will say that much. I'm not going to go into details because I think we'll probably do something before the Snyder Cut comes out.
We should. Maybe we should. Maybe we should all rewatch it. But I just felt like that was so much to really like take on because this new movie's gonna be 4 hours straight.
Yeah. The one thing I do see. So one thing I noticed big.
Yeah.
I liked a lot of parts in it. I really did. The movie runtime was like an hour 45. If you look at like Endgame, that's like 2.5 hours. If they would have spent 45 minutes maybe developing the villain, I don't know, maybe develop the villain a little bit better, it would have been a lot better movie. But there were some bright spots. I mean, Ezra Miller, the Flash, I was cracking up. Is his name Ezra Miller?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I was cracking up with that. I love Jason Momoa as Aquaman.
Yeah.
There was parts I really did like, and it was more enjoyable than I thought it was going to be. But that's all I'll say for now, because I'm sure we'll go in a little bit deeper. But
Well, it's interesting because you're a resident DC guy. We've talked openly about Justice League. Anthony, I think we even covered this a little bit on the episode when I came on with you guys. And to hear that you watch it again right before this movie and it was better than it felt the first time.
well, because my expectations were in the basement, so
Yeah, that makes sense too.
And then I rewatched, and I was like, yeah, it's not too bad. It's entertaining.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, but you compare it to the last couple Avenger movies, and you're like, well, it is what it is. But
Anthony, where are you sitting with the Snyder Cut on an excitement level, and what was your feelings on the first film?
Oh man, Snyder Cut. I have some curiosity towards it because at the end of the day, it was still that guy's vision. And Justice League, the Justice League we got was a Frankenstein monster of all these different things. I've said it before on our show, but I absolutely despise the direction Snyder was taking DC in. So I think Batman v Superman is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I don't think I had much hope for where he was taking it with Justice League. So 4 hours of this, oh my God, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to like it, but at least we'll get to see what he had in mind play out on screen. As far as the Justice League, when it first came out, I haven't really revisited it, but when it first came out, I went, oh, this is okay, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But the more you kind of analyze it, you were like, this just really, there's so many different things going on in this movie, so many different cooks in the kitchen that it couldn't help but be a mess, which it is. It doesn't piss me off like BVS does, but at least BVS, going back to the point I made earlier, was Snyder's vision and the director's, like his full thought process and creative process was on display. As much as I hate it, at least you weren't meddling with the guy's vision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
And at least I guess this time it's like that was his whole point is like, well, I'm doing this thing. I'm doing it exactly the way I want. And it sounds like that's exactly what he's done. Because it's like off. Yeah. I mean, it's 4 hours. I think there's a 10-minute intermission in the middle. And
what do they do during that? Like if
it's probably just like a countdown or something. It's like
they really put 10-minute countdown.
Yeah.
You think in the middle?
well, that was for in theaters, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Like
Yeah,
it's gonna
theaters.
in theater intermission to where you can get up and go use the
Oh, yeah.
restroom. I think I heard that on your guys' show actually.
Yeah, they're doing that in theaters. I think at home they don't think there's an intermission.
Well,
'cause
at home you can just.
Yeah.
maybe Snyder disabled the pause button.
Yeah.
He's like, that's the only way I'll do this.
I will say the end credit scene of Justice League was pretty good. It made me want to see what was coming.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was cool.
It was cool. I liked it too.
I love Deathstroke as a character.
Oh,
And I wish we coulda saw him
Out in the yacht.
Arrowverse
yeah,
Deathstroke
yeah.
was awesome, so I can't imagine what
He
Joe,
was great.
Joe Manganiello is his name, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think he'd be great. He looks like he was born to play that for sure.
Yeah, it's like he does. He's almost like the Robert Downey Jr. for Iron Man. He's like that for Deathstroke. He was just like meant to be in that suit, I feel like. All right, well, lots more coming up on Snyder League Justice League. It's coming, and we're going to be talking about it. And maybe we'll do something with Justice League beforehand and do a deeper dive. We'll see. With that, we are going to move on in What You Watch into a title that we talked about last week. This is hilarious. This came up during our Iron Man 3 review, as I was just mortified about how bad it was, how I thought I'd remembered it much better than what it was. I will say, it's after this one. Thor: The Dark World was much, much better. Like, I mean, it's like, I'm excited to talk about. I'll just say that. I've already forgotten this guy's name. What's the actor's name from
Guy Pearce.
Guy Pearce? PC Mike made the connection and said, what about Memento? And oh my gosh, I had a flashback to watching this in a cinema class back when I was in college. And I remembered it as one of my favorite movies. I've always said that, but I hadn't seen it probably since. So we put it on this week. I know you guys watched it. Anthony, you said you even watched it. You watched all our stuff for the episode today, I believe you said.
Of course.
That's a good guess, man. We appreciate that because that was a lot of titles.
Yeah. I got, I'm representing the show. I got to be prepared.
That's right. Well, and we're going to keep it kind of tight today. I mean, I'm going to kind of let this go as far as you guys want it to go. I'm going to keep it pretty straightforward in terms of my thoughts. I'll just go first because I don't want to. This isn't going to be a deep dive or a retell. This would be a nightmare to try to do that with.
Oh my god!
But I definitely want to hear like any favorite parts. And I'm going to go and give my rating right now because it was as good as I remembered for sure. Like I was like, okay, yeah, this is amazing. With the film style and just the overall theme of what they're doing, and like kind of once you figure it out, you think like, oh, this is awesome. Okay, I see what they did here, and you feel like it is kind of like an inside joke a little bit. You're like, okay, I got what Christopher Nolan was going for. This is one of his earlier films, I believe. But I will say that excitement level the first time I watched it, I think I was just like an excited kid in college, and I was like just excited to be watching movies during class. Whereas this point, I'm watching it and I was like, okay, I got done and I thought to myself, when will I watch this again? Because we really do think a lot about rewatchability on like a really classic film, especially like this. I think this might be something I watch again in a few years if we were like talking about it. I don't know if I'd necessarily seek it out. That being said, I had a great time. I am going to go and give it my rating and let you guys break it open. Give it a 3.1. Just get it out of the way because I wanted to give you guys kind of the floor. PC Mike, this is kind of your movie, so I want to start with how about The Giggler? Did you watch it recently?
I did watch it yesterday.
Yesterday?
Yes.
How did it make you feel? Talk us through what you were thinking while you're watching this, because you were a first timer.
Yeah.
Oh, wow,
I'm glad
this will
that
be
you guys warned me like of how confusing this was, because usually I'm on my phone just messing around while I'm watching anything, and I'm terrible at like actually paying attention to what's happening. So I was like, put my phone across the room, pay full attention. Still was extremely confused about what the heck was happening in this whole movie. And that's why I had to have you guys give me a little breakdown earlier. Still not sure I totally understand. Honestly,
We were drawing like graphs and stuff for him. Like, hey, it's coming together.
You just showed me this graph of like whatever's like the timeline's converging, and like I probably need to rewatch this with that in mind. But
Well, and I'll say this too, because I didn't open it up with this, but so you guys that go next to full spoiler alert right now. So feel free if there's anything that you want to say spoiler wise on this movie, you got it. But we explained to you kind of the premise, but when you finished it, you were like, "What?
Yeah, did you get it?
sort of, I guess. I don't know. Probably not then.
I don't know if I got it the very first time I watched it. I really think I knew that it was like I got the gist of it. I was like, oh, I see. This all connected. But I was like, but what actually happened? If you just like talk about the story, you're still kind of like, well, wait a minute. Because you had asked, well, what's the girl's name from The Matrix that's in this? You guys know that actress's name?
Carrie-Anne Moss.
Yeah, Carrie-Anne Moss is Natalie, it says.
Nice. Well, yeah, she plays this big role where she's like messing with this guy. And I thought the same thing as you. You asked, like, was she messing with him the whole time? And it's like, yeah, well, that's just part of it. That's just part of his story. Her like messing with him in the middle of it. Let's go to PC Mike. It was your movie. What'd you catch in your rewatch? How did you feel about it revisiting it and now time?
I mean, I think it was like a rush of nostalgia too. You watch these movies like thrillers and stuff we've talked about, and that kind of the big reveal's done, and it's not as good. That second or third or fifth or 18th time I've seen this. But I will kind of say a different point. Like, a lot of people, weirdly enough, haven't seen this movie. So, like, even with Andy, like, us talking about it, like, brought up those feelings. Like, man, I kind of want to, got the juices flowing. Like, I kind of want to watch this again. I loved it. I loved the little twist at the end. I love how the stories converge and it goes from black and white and slowly goes to color and the timelines come together. It's amazing movie making, and I think it really did jumpstart. I think Christopher Nolan had a movie before this, but then this was in 2000, and then he started to really knock them out. But man, I love it. And
you said this was a 3.8 to Andy whenever you told him to go watch it. Did that hold true?
I think it's still a 3.8.
Wow. Okay. Well, shoot.
I don't think I would be on a podcast 21 years later talking about this movie if it wasn't an awesome movie. I almost put it in my top 5 that we did the other day.
Wow.
But I didn't because we talked about it, and I'd be like, they think I'm just kind of jumping on this. But I think it's awesome. I think it's underrated. I don't know the IMDb score or anything, but
no. I always like that we give ours first, and then I usually go look at those after I literally listen to our episode, and I'll be like, okay, if we rated it that, let's go see what the public says. Andy, are you comfortable enough to give it a rating, or do you think you should like revisit?
I'll give it a preliminary rating. Like, okay. I'm gonna watch it again. I feel like you need to do a lot of that with honestly, like we said earlier, like most Christopher Nolan movies that aren't Batman. Well, obviously, watch Batman, rewatch it all day. That's all I do. But as far as like watching to understand what's going on, that's that's most of his movies. So,
Mhm.
but definitely like the storytelling is very unique. I can definitely appreciate that, something different from a movie perspective. So I mean, I'll give it a 2.9, but that's subject to change.
All right, that's fair. And to our guest of the day, Anthony, how many times have you seen this movie? When was the last time you had seen it, and like where did it round out for you this time?
Sure. Ironically, Imran recommended this movie to me maybe 10 years ago, maybe sooner. I'm kind of fuzzy on how long ago it was, but he recommended this movie and goes, "Hey, you need to watch this. I know you have you ever seen it?" I throw it on, and I was not prepared for what that movie was, what Memento was. By the end of it, I appreciated it, but I was like, I was a bit confused. I haven't seen it, and I revisited it yet last night, and I was much more excited to revisit the movie now that I had an idea of what had happened, and it still holds up. I mean, it's great filmmaking. It's so creative. It's you feel like you never know what's happening, and I think that's a lot of that's on purpose because you almost feel like you are Guy Pearce's character, and it all works for me. The ending, there's not really a resolution. You know, you don't get all the answers. You're kind of left to think about what just happened and what really happened. Was the narrator telling the truth? Was the cop telling the truth? So still holds up. Love to talk about it. I as far as a rating, I got a 3.5 out of 4.
Ooh, that's solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like what you said about like the detail that they went into of getting you inside of Guy Pearce's character's head and saying like he's walking him through himself, like what would it be like if you truly couldn't remember like 30 minutes later, like what would that be like to live? And they like walk you through that, and you really do like feel like, okay, I get it. By the end of the movie, you're like, this would be such a headache. But really well told, looked amazing. That alone, just the look of it, I felt like totally 90s. I just felt like everything about it was awesome. When they're in the diner and he's meeting her, looked really great. Well, I enjoyed it. I think it was a good film. I'm glad that we revisited it. I will say that I think I had it a little bit on a pedestal in my head, and that I got a little bit of a reality check of like, you know what? It's a really great movie, but it wasn't like a 3.8 for me. But you said it holds
I guess
up.
we differ.
That's why we differ,
Yeah.
and that's why it's
I
a good round. It's a good round.
And the
round table.
scores, Rotten Tomatoes, it's at a 93%. IMDb, it's at an 8.4.
So people love it.
Facebook, I didn't even know Facebook has audience summaries. It's at a 4.7. So I'll take that because it backs up my side. That 4.7 looks with my 3.8 looks pretty good.
Yeah. I was thinking during the watch, I was thinking about his film Tenet, and I had talked about that on the show. And I was just thinking about like, okay, so he did this movie, and then he did all of his movies, and then they were like, okay, you can really try something new. And Tenet was like him going like, oh boy, here we go.
Well, if you notice, the first scene is an inversion scene where he's flipping the Polaroid, and the gun zooms back into his hand after he had already shot the guy, and you can already see like Nolan was like, oh, that's a cool shot, but I can't do this throughout. I don't have all the technology to do this throughout an entire movie. And now he's like, with Tenet, let's go back to that memento thing. I've always wanted to do this. Let's just do the whole movie like that.
Did you like Tenet? Did you get Tenet?
Hated Tenet.
Did you watch it just once?
I only saw it once, and I was so confused. I was in a movie theater all by myself due to COVID, and I was about 40 minutes in. I was like, it's not even that I didn't understand what was going on. It was more like, this thing is just so all over the place, and I can't make any sense of the action. That I don't like this at all. So I thought Nolan had his head up his butt too much in Tenet, and he was a little too unhinged with his ideas.
Yeah, I only saw it once too, but I keep hearing people talk about it, so I think I am going to revisit it and just try to give it one more go, because I hate being that lost, being like at the end, I was just the same. I was like, what in the world is going on in this movie? But I've heard people say that if you give it that second watch, maybe 3 watches, because it was confusing.
Did he write it? Did he write Tenet, Christopher Nolan?
I don't know.
Let's see.
That's what I was kind of looking up, because his brother wrote.
He wrote it.
Okay, his brother wrote the short story for Memento, is what he based it on. And then I went down a rabbit hole. So I went to Jonathan Nolan's filmography, and it seems like all of Christopher Nolan's awesome films are written by his brother.
Wow.
So Memento, Batman Begins, The Prestige, The Dark Knight Rises, Interstellar, all have Jonathan Nolan somewhere with there. So I
Yeah.
don't know, maybe that's something.
I saw the name on the credits, and I was like, oh, I guess that's his brother. That was a guess.
The difference for me between Tenet and Memento was by the end of Memento, when I first saw it, I was like, something really cool just happened there, and I don't really understand all of it, but I know something cool happened. Whereas Tenet, by the end of it, I went, I'm so mentally fatigued by this entire movie that I'm glad this is over.
Yeah, when they're, not to get into spoilers for Tenet, just this one part that like summarized how I felt about the movie. When they were like on the opposite sides of the glass and things were happening like opposite of each other, but also in some kind of order, I thought, my fiance Carrie looked at me and she goes, so what's happening here? And I go, I don't know.
Your guess is as good as mine.
Can't wait to watch that one.
Yeah, check it out. All right, fan listener, what do you think of Memento? Is this one of your favorite movies like PC Mike? Are you more level out like me? Let us know what you think. Write us in at mostlysuperheroes.com/contact. Feature you on fan mail. And with that, we are going to take a quick break. And when we come back, it is all about the MCU. We're talking Thor the Dark World, quick recap, some ratings, and then we're getting into Phase 4 with WandaVision Episode 7. Stick around, and we'll be right back.
You've heard others, but nothing could prepare you for the shameful stupidity that is the Jock and Nerd Podcast. Hear Imran,
So if you offend everyone at once, it's a wash. I've covered everybody.
Anthony,
Sorry, I was texting. Say that again.
and Rug Boy
Yeah, whenever there's a snowstorm, my Slack hole tightens up.
as they talk over one another.
Just exactly the
John
same
Connor
as,
was the
as
fucking Terminator.
We're talking over each other. It's fine.
Sorry.
Swear
I had boobies.
and ask you for money.
Just give us the money.
Witness the hubris as they claim to be the world's authority on comic book movies.
Who said?
Never said that. You've never said that.
Who cares? A jock said that.
Comic book, TV, movie reviews, news, and whatever they choose. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you find your favorite podcasts. The Jock and Nerd Podcast.
Campy, silly, goofy fun.
Seriously, people really listen to this.
Jock and Nerd.
What you watching?
Welcome back from the break. I'm your host, Logan, of Mostly Superheroes, here with PC Mike, the Giggler, and Anthony from the Jock and Nerd Podcast. We just broke down some roundtable on Memento. Hope you enjoyed that. And now, of course, it's not quite the meat yet. We're going to get there, but still taking over the entire episode right now, or the show, I should say, is the MCU. And WandaVision, man, oh man, what a show. We are talking about it every single week. And with that, it's real. I've just been inclined naturally to watch the old stuff, to bring it back to the forefront, have some good recaps. And we're actually working on something really exciting on our website that once we kind of get all these done, we've already got about probably a third or a half. We're getting to about the halfway point of getting all these done. We're going to have a whole page solely for the MCU. So it'll be like in release order, which Anthony, I don't know if you have an opinion on this, but I think release order is the way to go typically for like, even Star Wars. I think that you need to watch these things in the frame of mind that when they came out, when they were written, the years that they were produced. If you're watching now, if you've seen it a lot and you want to revisit the MCU, maybe you're like, okay, I'll watch Captain Marvel first and then I'll watch them in chronological. But typically we do it in release order around here. What do you think, Anthony? Do you ever have an opinion on that? Because you guys talk about MCU heavy on Jock and Nerd. Has this been a debate you guys have had?
It's not necessarily something we've talked about a lot, but as I've had an opinion on it, and I agree with you, Logan. Release order is the way to go. You have to watch these in the mindset of what these creators were doing at that time, because they might have had ideas for things down the road that could have been prequels, but the puzzles fit a certain way in release order, and they fit that way because it was released in those times, and it makes watching those other films later, I think, more enriching because these are the building blocks for some of these, even the prequels.
Hell yeah. I love when people agree with me, so that's awesome.
That's why I'm here, man. That's why you brought me here.
Yeah, just to pump me up, right? That's usually that's why you
that was the email you sent me.
Yeah, I need you to come on and really make it seem like I know what I'm talking about.
Be my Flava Flav. Be my hype man today.
Well, with that, let's go ahead and get into our MCU rewatch for the day. Last week we talked about Iron Man 3, So in release order, next up is Thor: The Dark World. Equally controversial. This is one that we have talked about in this show as being a lower tier MCU film, just meaning when you compare it to the rest, it kind of starts falling toward the bottom. The next movie that comes in order is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. We'll be covering that next week. Man, that's exciting.
Man, I went on the wrong show.
Oh, dude, that's a movie, huh? Oh my gosh. I'm so
Watched
excited.
parts of that last night.
Did you really? Talk about just a totally different movie from the first Avenger. And then, man, we're 25 days out from Falcon and Winter Soldier, so I think we're timing this pretty well. What we're going to do is we're going to do what we do every single week on the MCU Rewatch. I'm going to recap the story very quickly. I'm going to talk about just some top moments. Want to hear your guys' top moments, ratings, of course. I'll highlight the end credit scenes, and then we're going to just talk about some high-level connections of what this movie, how it could connect to other MCU projects that are happening concurrently. First up, came out in 2013, just a few months after Iron Man 3. This came out November 8th. I think Iron Man 3 was in May. The budget was $150 million, and it made $644.8 million. Did pretty well. Not as well as Iron Man. If you guys remember, that was $1.2 billion.
Double that.
Yep, and I think the budget was $200 million. So it got a little less money. It made a whole lot less, but it still did just fine. All of these movies, I think, will. Well, I can't wait to see what. Like, I'm curious about how Ant-Man did. I don't remember at all. So I'm excited to see these future movies that we're going to be talking about. Talked about the MCU order, the story of this one. So this movie opens up with a flashback of millennia ago, the Dark Elves. All right, these guys are actually, they're power hungry. They're led by this guy called Malekith, and they're after the Ether, which is AKA the Reality Stone. All right, Odin's dad, Bor, he comes in, he knocks these guys down. Let me just say right away, when 10 minutes into this movie, I was like, this movie's awesome. Especially like watching it like now with all the MCU stuff, it almost felt like a MCU like history story. Like I'm watching like a documentary about like the Asgardians and like Thor's dad. I was like, this is cool.
Okay, before you go on, I just want to do a heat check for you.
Oh boy.
It's not because you just watched Iron Man 3 and then you watched this.
It might be, but hey, you're getting it in my organic order right now. And that's how it should be, though, because you did see Iron Man 3 right before you saw this movie.
So there's so Iron Man 3 gets $1.2 billion. People are like, hell no, I'm not giving more money to the MCU.
All I'll say is this. If you're just asking me point blank, this movie is much better than Iron Man 3, no doubt. But I will just say, it's a Thor movie through and through. And so Thor's dad ends up beating this guy. It's all fine. They come back to the future. And basically the entire plan surrounds Malekith, this dark elf. He just wants to use the Reality Stone to make the whole universe dark. It's kind of weird, but it's like that's the idea. There's this giant convergence happening. Remember, all of the realms are lining up over each other. And a millennia passes. This is happening again. And when this happens, Jane on Earth finds the ether because it's been awakened during this convergence coming again, and this is where Thor comes down and takes Jane back to Asgard because this is kind of a hole in the story. She gets the ether like in her body because she like touches it. I don't know if this movie ever made it clear exactly why her human body could hold on to this thing for so long, because they make it very clear in the rest of the MCU movies that humans cannot be holding Infinity Stones like this. We'll leave it up on the table for thoughts if you guys have any when we get there. Just moving real quick through here. Remember, Loki is in captivity in this movie because it's following the events of Avengers. So he's locked up on Asgard. That's pretty cool. Moving really, really quickly, they remove the ether from Jane's body. Malekith takes it. He's going to have to go to Earth, though. That was a big part of the movie where I'm like, why do they have to go to Earth? They do answer it. Apparently, there's a point on Earth that is the center of this convergence thing. So it ends up being this place in Germany, and Dr. Selvig re-enters. Darcy enters the story that we're now seeing in WandaVision. And then Darcy also has an intern in this movie. We said this. She's moving up the corporate ladder. His name's Ian in the movie, and I don't think we ever know what happens to this intern. And then they end up having like a romantic kind of thing.
Yeah.
They're making out at the end a little bit.
Maybe in WandaVision.
I'm genuinely curious what happened to this guy, because he ends up kind of being like a pretty good asset to the team. He like really helped everybody out. All right, so they end up helping Thor defeat Malekith. We learn that Loki has actually taken the throne. He's done something with Odin. It's one of the end things we get. of the movie. We beat the bad guy. All is well. The mid-credit scene in this one is Thor's friends deliver the Reality Stone to the Collector. So we get the introduction to the Collector in this movie. And then there's an in-credit scene where Thor comes back to Earth, spends his time with Jane, and this is also what he'll be doing. He'll be hanging out on Earth for a while, setting us up for Avengers Age of Ultron. Pretty quick, right?
You put a nice little bow on it, too.
Just a nice little quick bow. Want to get into some top highlights before we rate this thing, because I want to hear like some favorite moments, thoughts of the movie. I really like the aspect of finding out more about the Nine Realms. Again, getting that history story, learning more about Odin's dad, because Odin kind of has an arc of his own throughout the whole movies. We find out in Thor Ragnarok that he has kind of this shady past. I'm excited to focus on that movie. And let's just do some roundtable thoughts. Starting off with our guest on the show, Anthony. This is another one you watched for us. Thank you very much. What are your thoughts on Thor, man?
Thor overall, or just Thor to the Dark World?
Well, let's go Thor the Dark World, and then maybe we'll get into some deeper stuff, like who your favorite Avengers are and stuff, because we love that kind of shit.
Sure. So, I'll go on record as saying that the MCU, I don't think the MCU's made one what I would consider bad film. Now they've made there's a slew of films that are down the the bottom of the list and maybe just considered okay, maybe disappointments, but nothing egregious. Thor: The Dark World is no one's favorite MCU film, I don't think. If it is your favorite, I'm sorry. There are better MCU films. Maybe you should watch something else. It's entertaining at points. It's not necessarily, they didn't really know what they were doing with Thor yet. They were still trying, they had Alan Taylor as a director who's from Game of Thrones. They were still trying to do the whole Game of Thrones, Norse mythology, Viking-esque vibe. And they were still trying to make that work, especially within the MCU, where it's like a lot of like jokes and things like that. And as we came to find out in Thor Ragnarok, that just wasn't Chris Hemsworth's thing. That just wasn't the vibe that this was going to launch at. That being said, it's still entertaining. The villain is pretty bleh. The main criticism you have about Thor: The Dark World is you don't ever really want to revisit this movie. There's nothing about it that you want to go back and go, I love these moments. The moments that I do enjoy, I still enjoy the Loki, Chris Hemsworth, Thor banter. I thought Kat Dennings was funny. I remember back in the day, people would like be criticizing Kat Dennings' character and be like, she's pointless. I thought she was funny. We're going to review WandaVision later. Bringing her back to from Thor: The Dark World, I think was a great idea because she has just great timing on a lot of her jokes. The end battle is a little creative with them going through the different portals and landing on different planets and stuff. So there's some entertaining stuff. It's just overall a bland movie. So curious what you guys think.
Yeah, for sure. I have all sorts of thoughts, and I think I should probably go. I'll go last because I'm kind of the opposite of you now, Anthony. Honestly, I almost appreciated like that Game of Thrones feel. That like, you know what, this is a totally different race of people that are together, and it's a totally different mindset than like if you're an Iron Man or on Earth. And I kind of appreciated the fact that they were. It was fun to me seeing a Reality Stone story outside of the Avengers and Thanos. It was cool to see like, oh, there's this alien race that's like going after it, because for me it was like kicking off the hunt for these 6 stones. I felt that. Giggler, what were you thinking? How was your rewatch? Did you rewatch it for a second time? Like, because you did a rewatch like a month ago.
The most recent time was a month ago for sure.
Okay.
And I think rewatching it now, given everything that's happened, it definitely you can feel the vibe a little bit more and appreciate it and enjoy it. But still, like, I completely agree with what Anthony said, that like there's not a bad movie in these. So that's what I'm kind of keeping in check for like my rating. But I think 100% like my favorite part was just kind of the interactions between Thor and Loki. Like, there's not a lot of times when I enjoy or am a fan of like a bad guy in a movie, but Loki's like an exception for that. He's just entertaining. I can't freaking wait for a show. I think it's going to be maybe one of the best ones of the year. We'll see.
I was gonna say, this is something to keep in mind for you folks. This is where we try to, like, again, if most of the superheroes gave any service to you guys, try to help you out here. We are now in what I'm calling Loki Prime. Because like this guy ends up having his own life. He goes on to live in Thor Ragnarok, and spoiler alert for this character, he dies in Avengers Endgame. So like that's this Thor. You know, we talked about Avengers. We saw like that guy vanishes from that one. We're gonna get that in the TV show. This is not that Loki anymore. Just so everybody's clear, we're on like I call them Loki Prime. That's I've coined that.
I like it.
Maybe get that hashtag going. All right, we'll save your rating for a minute. PC
Yeah.
Mike, did you rewatch this?
I actually saw this a couple months ago.
Okay,
so
fair.
I felt good. I think it was on TV, and I was just kind of watching. I mean, it's okay. I got a lot of fanboys here, so I'm gonna bring you back down. It's okay. I'm not getting streamers and like banners for like, hey, you know what's on at TBS tonight? Thor: The Dark World. Let's go.
Right.
I mean, it was just okay.
Yep.
Favorite parts are with Natalie Portman.
She's great.
I mean, she's
Can't argue with that.
Yeah.
She's great. I got so excited to see her coming back in Thor: Love and Thunder. I think that they were probably not teasing out, but I did have some theories that I'm sure that her having this ether in her body will probably play some kind of role in that because she's supposed to be supposedly getting the hammer. Talking about Thor in general, see if there's any other major connections I have here from my notes. Oh, we do get Lady Sith in this one. She actually is in a Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode. I don't know if you guys ever knew that, but she is. Yep. She came and guest starred on the show. Already mentioned Jane. Go ahead.
I
Mike.
do love the cast though.
Yeah,
like,
strong cast.
I love Anthony Hopkins in here.
Yep.
I love Idris Elba. He's awesome in everything. So I mean, the cast is awesome.
You also have Zachary Levi playing one of Thor's friends.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Captain Marvel. He's Captain Marvel in the DC universe.
Oh yes, he's Shazam.
Sorry.
But
yes,
which is
Shazam.
which is Captain Marvel. Yes.
Right.
Which is like still to me like so confusing whenever I hear the same names.
Yeah.
Well, and he replaced I forget the actor's name, but did you know that he's not the same? The guy that's playing Fandral in Thor is not the same. He's not Zachary Levi.
That is, it's the guy that was in Once Upon a Time. He played David in that show, but I don't know the actor's name. But yeah, they switched over.
Is it because he jumped ship and went to DC to be Shazam, you think?
Well, no, they brought in Zachary Levi to be in this movie. And then I believe he is also, it's still Zachary Levi in Thor Ragnarok, I believe.
Yes. He gets killed right away, but yes, he is.
Yeah, all of the friends.
Oh man, yeah.
Like
the Warriors 3 got a very quick ending.
All right, let's get some ratings on the film. I'm gonna go real quick. It's definitely higher than what I thought. I think I gave Iron Man 3 a 2.7. That still hurt me, but this one I was pleasantly surprised. Definitely is an OG Marvel flick to its core. I'll definitely always rewatch it. I'm gonna give it a 3.2. Next up, let's go to our guest, Anthony. Let's get your rating on Thor: The Dark World.
I'm gonna give this again. It's okay. I will agree. It's just okay. There's nothing egregiously bad, but there's nothing that makes me ever want to revisit this again, other than on like Marvel rewatches or binges or things like that. I'm gonna give this, being from Chicago, a 2.3.
Whoa!
Out of 4. But I will say that Endgame, the scenes in Endgame make Thor: The Dark World just a little better.
Hell yeah. Like that, I thought about that too. And I also thought about parts of Endgame where I was like, oh, I wonder when future Thor like took Mjolnir. You know, like when did the hammer like disappear for that Thor? You know, I found myself thinking about when did the mom...
When was he talking to the mom?
Yeah, even though it's an alternate universe, so it technically would not happen in this movie. But you still think about that stuff. I thought that was so fun. And that... Like, that's something new that you wouldn't have got the first time around.
Right.
Giggler, let's hear it.
I just want to comment how the villain, Malachi, kind of looks like Ivan Ooze from the Power Ranger movie. Does anyone catch that vibe?
Yeah, he's got the chin.
He's got like the same like face. If you painted him like white, it would be the same person. But maybe it's a little bit less scary. But
well, him and Oscar Isaac's Apocalypse both look like Ivan Ooze.
Yes, exactly. Oh my God, that's
gosh, I always forget that was Oscar Isaac. Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh man. But yeah, I think there hasn't been a Marvel movie to date that I haven't rewatched, so I got to give it a 3.0.
Solid. I like that.
That's the standard.
I mean, because you're rewatching it all the time.
Yeah,
it's got it. So that's good for MCU films. That means they're always breaking that 3 mark.
Oh yeah. Last night, Black Panther was on one channel and The Winter Soldier was on another, and I was just switching back and forth all night, and I was like, this is the life.
I think
just sitting there watching cable TV, waiting
Yeah.
for things to scroll across.
Exactly. And I was like, why am
Nice.
I not watching this on Disney Plus with no commercials? But then I just switched back and forth.
we're using like the flashback button. Was there like a flashback button still for cable? Like,
No.
Back
oh
in
yeah,
like
yeah.
a
Oh,
TV
yeah,
remote,
yeah.
like a back button.
well, yeah,
Yeah,
but it's
like
like, I mean,
previous?
I haven't had cable like TV in, I mean, probably 6 years.
Oh,
Oh,
they
I
still
gotcha.
got it. And they also my not to brag, but my remote has a microphone on it. And I can
Well,
talk to it.
this is the same guy that was written from Redbox, like up until Halloween.
When it comes back, I'll be back at Redbox.
All right, PC Mike. I think we're getting a very different rating. That's why I love you keeping us honest. What is
Well-
Thor: The Dark World for you?
Since Anthony's on, and he's a Chicago guy, I'll do
Yeah.
it as well. 2.1, Sammy Sosa. I was trying to think of Chicago athletes when you said 2.3, and I was like, who am I going to do? Who am I going to do? Who am I going to do?
Nice
I could go
job.
2.5. Derek Lee used to be 2.5 for the Cubs.
there you
but
go.
Well, you've already said your score, so
well,
you know how it is.
Slamming Sammy.
That's like a new low like rating on the show for any movie. I think maybe not. I think
It's pretty low.
It's close. It's
yeah,
close. In
I
the
think the
top
lowest
few.
I've personally gotten has been like a 2.5. Like it's like that's as low as I've gotten so
Yeah.
far.
Well,
But
I put it at 2.3 because it's still above average. I was trying to go with the baseline being 2, so anything below 2 would be bad. So 2.3 still above.
Oh yeah.
that's fair, and
least better than what I was
especially
thinking.
when you're looking at it compared to all the MCU films, that score makes total sense to me. But like, I was just surprised. Like, I would watch this like right along with like Ant-Man. I feel like, but then again, we'll see whenever we watch it.
Maybe I'm a little bitter how you scored Memento, so I took it
Yeah.
out on Thor.
Man, it's funny to see how the spite scores start coming out.
Welcome back to the studio, fellas.
Yeah, that's right. All right, Thor: The Dark World. We appreciate you guys sticking around for the hashtag MCU rewatch. Let us know what you think of the film. Our next film that we'll be covering is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Get us in some fan mail beforehand. You hear this right now. Write us in. Tell us your thoughts on that movie. Give us a rating on the 4.0 scale, and we will feature you during next week's episode.
Did you give your score?
I didn't. No, I did. It was a 3.2.
Okay.
Yep. All right, let's move on. If everyone's ready.
I did look up Ant-Man's box office. if you're
Just out of
curious.
curiosity, let's do it, yeah.
$519 million it made.
And
That's
what was the
below
budget?
Thor. Yeah.
130 to 160.
That's about Thor, yeah. So that makes sense. I didn't even mention it, but in a couple weeks, Guardians of the Galaxy is next up after Winter Soldier before Age of Ultron. So I don't know how you guys feel about Guardians of the Galaxy, but you can tell that I'm just very excited.
I mean, you have that jacket behind you for
Yeah.
a reason. So.
Yeah, it's my go-to Halloween costume. All right, that's enough of Phase 2 today. We're revisiting some OG Marvel flicks. Let's move into Phase 4.
The meat.
The meat of the episode, that's where we talk about what you want. It's the big chunk. It's the sizzle. We are talking about the breakout series, 2 episodes left of WandaVision on Disney+. Oh, man. I'm so excited to talk about this episode. Excited to hear about the predictions. Before we do that, let's how we always do. Let's do a gut check on how the season is going so far. Again, Anthony, not to put you on the spot, but guests being here, how is WandaVision going for you so far, and how'd you feel leaving episode 7?
Yeah, I'm over the moon for WandaVision. Admittedly, I've said this on our show. I'm pretty in the bag for most MCU things, but just the start of WandaVision, how it was so different than anything we've seen from the MCU, and I know that was kind of polarizing to a lot of people. A lot of people felt it was very slow. I think it's been very well paced. I feel like the mystery has been dragged out really well, and we're getting bits and pieces. We're kind of now being able to discard theories, but still have theories in the back that might be confirmed, might not be. I've enjoyed every bit of this. I enjoy the fact that, Wanda, which Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany, I think, have been really good in this. I think they've been able to flex their acting chops a little bit. The show has been able to, take 2 unknown or more minor characters, Wanda and Vision, while also expanding upon the universe, while also introducing new characters, while also laying the groundwork for stuff that's coming out later on. I think this show has many masters to serve, and hopefully they can stick the landing. But so far, I've loved basically every episode.
Love the review, love the thoughts. I think that we're probably echoing that on our end, but I want to get a gut check. Andy, you have to probably agree with every word of that.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's just like this year we're going to be so spoiled with these shows, and like the way that you view these characters and the things that you've already seen when you rewatch them. Like the other day, for example, I think we were watching Endgame, the final battle scene. I was like, turn it on TV, and I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna watch this, just like every day it's on. So and Wanda comes in and does that short little battle scene, and I was just like, this is so much cooler now, like with all these things that you know about her. Like it's like you get a little bit more excited. When I watched it the first time, I wasn't getting that excited for her to show up on screen. I mean, she's great, but it's just like what these shows are going to do is just build these people up to where I don't even know how they're going to handle all these characters being at this level.
Yeah, and like to be like Wanda, and you were playing this character in like these, you know, handful of movies, but now they're just flushing it out, like putting it to where like they get all this backstory, all this context.
Yeah.
And then I feel like we're getting like a new Wanda, a new Vision. Like this is like they're rebirthing these characters now.
Yeah. At the same time, like there's people that from the MCU that are exiting, like possibly Tony Stark, possibly Captain America. So you don't know if spoiler alert, I guess, if you haven't seen Endgame, but
yeah, we
we
try our best with the MCU.
I don't know why you're listening to this right now if you haven't seen Endgame. But like they're gonna need people to kind of take the helm for the leaders like that. So who knows who that'll be out of this group? I mean, obviously that's might be kind of the premise of what Falcon and Winter Soldier the next show is, but I'm so excited for that if it even can hold a candle to how good this is. So.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see just a totally different way of storytelling. You know, it's going to be more action. It's going to be a different show. We're still here for it. PC Mike, how's WandaVision tasting for you?
I am surprised every week how much I do like it. I have two big things, though.
Okay.
I'm going to pick a little bit. I have to pick a little bit.
I'll be honest.
I'm mad because I don't know if it was a spoiler. I thought these last 3 episodes were going to be an hour. This one was a little shorter.
I was gonna say, we talked about it on the show that was gonna be an hour. It was definitely not. It's standard like 42 minutes or something, 47 maybe. It wasn't even 47.
I think we got bad news. I think we reported that on our show too, and we didn't report it. We reported someone else's reporting. Yeah. That's not. It doesn't seem like that's gonna be the case.
Yeah. This week's is 47 minutes. So.
It's closer.
But is that 47 minutes of actual,
No.
or is it?
No, it's more like 28 minutes. And
and then like
credits.
17 minutes of end credits.
It's a total. It's definitely like the total.
And then you don't know if there's going to be an end credit scene or not.
Yeah. And now that we know, spoiler alert for episode 7, we're breaking it wide open today.
There is one.
You said you had 2 things.
I had one more. How in the world wasn't this the first thing they were going to push out in this next phase? Because this is awesome.
Because it was going to be Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I have thoughts on that.
Dude,
please.
I think at the time, it was going to be Falcon and Winter Soldier, and COVID hit. So obviously that rearranged everything. But I think their strategy was, let's give something that people are familiar with, which is Falcon. I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier will be more like your big Marvel FX type action espionage thing, into something we're a little bit more palatable. But as you could see, like the first couple episodes of WandaVision, I liked it, but the internet was like, I had friends that going, I didn't sign up to watch WandaVision to see the Dick Van Dyke show. Like, I think this was just a little bit more of a risk. And with COVID hitting and everything, it just kind of rearranged schedules. And they were like, if there's any time to take a risk, it's after having a year off of Marvel movies. And now, like, people are so starved for Marvel content that we could probably throw out a piece of crap on plate and people will still watch it. So let's just go with WandaVision. So that's where I think their head was at.
I totally agree, and I think I've said something similar on the show before, to where like I think that like people know Captain America, and like they like see like this new Anthony Mackie coming in. They're like, oh, Captain America. It would have been an easier sell. I totally agree. Where WandaVision is like totally different, but I mean, I can't get enough of it.
Well, it was a great decision. They got like exponentially more subscribers to Disney Plus since the show started, and it's like blowing up even more. So
well, and then we talked about this last week, but Brandon Davis said that he reported last week from Comic Book that it's the most watched. It was the most watched show worldwide last week. I don't know if that still holds true, but it got up there.
And for me, I mean, not being as big into the Marvel universe as you guys, if I compare this to The Mandalorian, this is must watch for me. I could wait. I watched every episode of The Mandalorian.
Wow.
But I could wait till like Sunday night, or I could wait till Monday and kind of catch it. No, he's doing a little fight scene. He does the same thing. Oh, he found his armor again, and now he's doing his thing. This is must watch. I come home from work, and I'm like, you know what? From 3 to whatever, I'm watching WandaVision. That's how good this show is.
And we've talked about how we do the rewatches for the show and how it's like the easiest thing to put back on and watch for a second or a third time. Like there's no
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, you
Absolutely.
almost have to. You just catch different things every time.
Well, with that, let's get right into the story. This is episode 7. Full spoiler alert right now. WandaVision. Gosh, it's so much fun talking about these things week by week. I can't believe that we just have another show coming right after the corner. It's like we are so spoiled rotten. We're so happy. Breaking the fourth wall is the title of the episode. It's 38 minutes long. The synopsis reads, Monica plots her return, Wanda navigates unsettling complications, and Vision forms a new alliance. As always, we start off with the previously on the episode. And this slide is going to have all of your images from the entire episode if you're watching on our YouTube channel. So previously, looking up here toward the top left-hand side, Monica's cells are getting rewritten by the Hex. She's been through twice. They tell us this again. She's going back in to help Wanda out, and she's going to be meeting somebody to get her rover, to get some kind of vehicle that can take her in there. We get a flashback of Vision being ripped apart when he's outside of the Hex, and it takes his shoulder away. Remember that? They showed that again. We get Pietro getting blasted by Wanda when he says, hey, your dead husband's dead, he can't die twice. They also said, point blank, Monica is quoted to say, if Wanda is the problem, she has to be the solution. And then we get, of course, the big cliffhanger of the episode, the Hex stretching miles on end, pulling in Darcy and much of the Sword group. All right, so the episode opens up. It is I saw a couple things here that people have called. It was a fourth wall, obviously, per the title of the episode. Type of talking to the camera. This is straight out of Modern Family, is what I saw. And then I saw the intro scene. I also looked like he was directly from The Office.
For sure.
Did you guys see anything else?
Yeah, that's got to be it.
That was it, right? I mean, I mean,
that's it.
maybe like Parks and Rec a little bit because it's like similar type of show. But
Yeah.
either way, the music was almost like
The
just
Office, exactly.
exactly with the mug. Even at the end, we got a picture here. And Wanda's breaking down the fourth wall. She's talking. She said she's going to take a day all by herself. And we get the intro, which we talked about. Here we get Darcy and Vision. It actually opens up with them on the outskirts of town. They're all around this big circus that, Andy, we talked about this last week, that we were going to get this big circus coming to town. Well, Vision and Darcy are part of this. He wakes her up almost immediately. We'll talk about that in a minute. So Wanda is talking to her young boys. She says that she doesn't really know anything that's going on. She's like, you know how I'm your mom and I'm supposed to know things? I don't know anything. And the boys are like, okay. Agnes shows up. She says, let's leave mom by herself. I'll watch the kids. And then right after she leaves, Wanda's sitting there and the reality around her is just changing on its own. Like her TV is changing to an old TV. Her fireplace is changing to an old fireplace. And she's trying to fix it. Let's look at you, Anthony. During this part early on in the episode, with like the reality changing around her, was this like, we've said this before, it's like, we notice when things start going haywire when Wanda's not around. Is this, you think, because of like the reality getting so big, she's just struggling to manage it?
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. She's expanded the reality so much. You could see in the last episodes the edges of the reality that she was in. Everyone was like frozen or they kept doing the same task. So you could already see that as you get further from her, it starts to really like not be as cohesive and as real of a reality. And now that she's expanded it so much, you could tell, obviously, that she's just losing her control over everything. Even the littlest things, the things are warping. The milk is warping from like 70s milk to 50s milk to current milk. So yeah, you think you're spot on with that.
I don't know if you guys caught this, but it was like a radio station or a TV station, but they were like, you're listening to WNDA.
Yep.
I didn't know.
It was like Wanda. Yeah, I totally agree that like even the smallest little thing she can't quite keep up with. So you can tell it's just really starting to slip through the cracks. Okay, so this was a big theory for the show. Monica's going to meet her sword contact. Now, I've been staying away from the online stuff for about 3 weeks now. That's whenever I stopped looking at like anything. But I couldn't help but see a couple of memes that came across my face that this might be John Krasinski as Fantastic Four, Reed Richards. This might be some big name. Okay, it is. What's her name? Agent Major Goodner. Is this somebody that it was nobody to me? So I'll just say that is it somebody to anybody here?
I never looked it up, to be honest.
Oh, I didn't look it up. I meant just like off the top of your head. Did this
Yeah.
mean anything to anybody?
No, I didn't look it up, but I feel like it was almost. I feel like there's got to be more. Like they the way that was written, they were hinting at something so much. You know, they teased it a couple episodes. You wouldn't write it like that for it to just be a lady that no one knows. I think there's got to be someone
Yeah.
else.
Well, I will say this. She does say that she's going to go right into this reality with this thing. I got an image here up of the vehicle, and she says this is our most sophisticated space vehicle. So it did make me think like, okay, this is like an astrophysics
Yeah.
team, so maybe there's more people later.
And also, I'm pretty sure when she talked about who she was going to meet, she said it was a he. So
I thought
that led me to believe that there could be the person that she was going to meet could maybe not be there. You never know. We might not. This might be readdressed in like 5 movies from now or something like that.
there is
who
a
knows?
line from Goodner where she says, "I'm not just loyal to you. We're not just loyal to Sword," or something like that. She led us to believe that she is loyal to someone else on like behalf of Monica Rambeau. Did you guys pick up on that line that she was loyal to some higher power? I thought maybe it was like a Captain Marvel reference.
Yeah. That's a good call.
But like Anthony said, they have laid too many breadcrumbs.
They have.
to just give us this.
Yeah. I think
And if
there's more to come.
so, hats off, because you guys pulled us in, and you have people all over the internet. You have the most watched show in the world right now. Hats off if this is your big reveal, but they have something more. They have to.
All right, we get Vision waking up Darcy very early in the episode, so this is great. I was glad. I was like, wake her up. He did. That was good. And they're gonna go back and head to Wanda, but they're gonna have many obstacles on the way. Back to them in a little bit. Back to Wanda, the reality is really, really coming apart now. The storks show back up. The wallpaper's changing. She can't fix it. And then you get that voice from behind the camera that says, "Do you think this is what you deserve?" And you're like, what?
Yes.
I mean, especially now, and we'll talk about the big face-off between her and Monica. All right, let's talk about the commercial. This was definitely the most real commercial like from all the ones I've seen before. It's about antidepressant, and it's called Nexus. It anchors you in the reality of your choice because the world doesn't revolve around you. Or does it? Is Nexus like a MCU or Marvel reference? Anthony, do you know about this? Was there something hidden in there that we should be aware of?
Yeah, so there's a couple things. The big thing that I picked up on, and I've been following internet theories and I've been reading up, so I was prepared for it, is there's things in the Marvel universe, it's the comics, that are called Nexus beings. And Wanda is a Nexus being, which is a constant throughout the multiverse. So the way I interpret that is there could be different versions of different characters in the multiverse, but there's always going to be a Wanda that looks like that is the Scarlet Witch, that has those kind of powers. That labels her, if that's what they're hinting at, or maybe building towards, it labels her as like one of the most important characters in not just the MCU but the multiverse itself, because she's basically has influence over everything.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, I had no idea about that, but Nexus to me, I knew like the word itself is just like, it's like bringing things together. It's the central focal point, but I didn't know if they were talking about Wanda, but it sounds like you think that's exactly what they're talking about. Is her.
She is a Nexus being within the comics, so she probably will be a Nexus being within the MCU, which would make sense why she is also going to be in the Multiverse of Madness with Doctor Strange.
Makes total sense. Nice connection. And I mean, yeah, you talk about being relevant within the multiverse. I would assume it's going to play a role in the movie that has the word in the title, right?
Right.
All right, back to Monica. She's going to drive this vehicle into the Hex. Again, the person, Goodner, says it's going to go right into there. It does not. It hits it head on. It spits it out halfway, like turned into this van or truck. I put a picture up here. And this is where Monica says, "I'm going in." I am getting goosebumps already talking about this. She bolts in this thing. Woo's like, "Don't do it." She is phasing in between like different outfits and different voices in her head. You get some of the dialogue from Captain Marvel, I think, whenever her mom was going off into space. And she's like, go do that. And I'm going to say it. We called it on the show. Monica Rambeau has superpowers. She does not have a name or anything. And this, to me, was a birth of an MCU hero right in front of our eyes. I see Anthony giving a thumbs up. PC Mike, Do you agree? Did this feel like a superhero being born to you?
Yeah, it was kind of like, I don't know. You can get pretty graphic of being bored and pushing through, but yeah, I mean, you saw it, and she's like that hero right now that we have in the show that we're cheering for. I mean, we're cheering for Vision, but for her, somehow they've made us connect to this character in 7 episodes. It might be the mom aspect, coming back from the snap and all of that and all she's dealt with, but you're cheering for her, and that was an awesome scene to see her, and then a little bit her and Wanda, that confrontation. It was awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just moving it right up to that. The very next thing we see, I'm jumping around a little bit in the order of the show, but with Monica, she gets to Wanda, and they have this face-off to where she's like, get out of here, and she superhero lands on the sidewalk.
That happened, and I was like, that's a bad bitch.
Yeah.
I love how the townspeople just kind of stopped and watched too.
Yeah. They're like, what's going to go down here? Anthony, how were you feeling? Is this something that obviously you guys probably saw this coming too, but what was it like to see it happen for you on screen?
I'm with you guys. I wouldn't say I had goosebumps per se, but I was very excited to enjoy this character and see her become. It looks like she's becoming. So Monica Rambeau in the comics has like 3 or 4 different names. I think she's becoming Photon because her mom, and it's her mom's call name in Captain Marvel. They've hinted at Photon. They showed you the plaque with her mom's name, Photon Rambeau. So you're definitely seeing her become a superhero. And to the point of like us falling in love with this character, I think they did a really good job of making the character relatable and using the snap to make it relatable by going with, well, her mom died of cancer while she was gone, and it's such a horrible thing to happen to her, right? Like you were gone in the snap. The last thing you saw was your mom in the hospital. Your mom makes it out of the hospital, but because you're gone for 5 years, she dies 2 years later from cancer. Like that character immediately becomes super sympathetic, super like relatable to anyone that's experienced loss, and also just someone you root for. So then when you finally see this character get those powers and jump through the hex one more time, it is like a stand up and cheer moment, and it's great for Marvel. And they're trying to appeal to different demographics, and now they have, they had some female superheroes with Black Panther, but now they have someone that has powers, right? That's a Black female superhero. So they're doing a great job. I'm with everything you guys said. I was very pumped to see it.
Yeah, well, Marvel Studios did what they like do best with all their titles is they weave in these other origin stories to where like we're probably gonna get like a Photon TV show one day.
Wow.
Like that's
that.
exactly what they do. They weave this into a backstory where like Mike said it. Like the show's called WandaVision, and all of a sudden I'm like, well, who the hell's Monica Rambeau? Because I'm all about her.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's talk Darcy and Vision. This is kind of cool. This is I will say this episode was. I fully expected it. It was definitely, I thought, like the most. It had a lot of big things, a lot of big reveals, but like overall, it was a little boring. But I feel like the third to last episode of a major series like does have this like kind of like lull moment, reveal, tell some stuff, and like the next 2 episodes in my mind, we're just not ready for it. They're gonna be so great, action packed, big reveals, big actors. Where this was more like, okay, who's doing it, right? Speaking of that. Darcy helps Vision she fills him in on what happened before Westview. She's like, this is what happened in Age of Ultron. This is what happened in Infinity War. And Vision says it. He's like, for me, this is me finding it out for the first time. For Wanda, this is just a matter of weeks that all this has happened. And even for us as fans, it's been years. But like, you're talking about losing Vision, getting dusted, coming back. Like for her, it's been like so that was kind of cool getting that perspective. We get that Monica and Wanda face-off we talked about, and this is where Agnes shows up and says, get out of here, Monica. I'm taking her. Getting to the end of the episode here. Vision does leave Darcy in that truck, but we don't see Vision again the rest of the episode. All right, here we go. Big ending. So I said it was boring. It's not.
It's not boring.
No, not
I
boring.
take that back immediately. There's the wrong word. I just felt like there was parts of that where I felt the lull, and like I hadn't felt that, but it's because like more real stuff was happening. But anyway,
Yeah, it's just comparing to the others. You can't compare.
so Wanda's in Agnes's house. She notices that the kids aren't around. There's a couple sandwiches, like half eaten. She sees a locust on the drape, and then says, "Where are the boys?" Agnes says, "Downstairs." Goes to the basement. And this is where it becomes very clear very quickly. It's getting very witchy very, very quickly. getting roots on the side, ends up becoming like a full-on dungeon. And here comes Agnes. Wanda, you didn't think you were the only magical girl in town, did you? And then cue the music, cue the flashbacks. It's been Agatha all along, Agatha Hartwell. This has been one of the most biggest theories about the entire show the entire time. And she's been behind essentially everything. You're getting flashbacks of her confusing Herb. She actually created Pietro, it looked like. She faked it when talking to Vision. Andy, you called that. And she said she killed Sparky too. And you were wondering who killed the dog.
Yeah.
What a bad person.
Holy cow, she's been doing this thing. She got like her own title intro. The biggest question I had at the end of this was, is she the only villain? Is there more at play here? Or is this our big bad? I'll look at you, PC Mike, because I see you already shaking your head. What do you think?
I think there's more to it. But I will say this. We kind of knew this was coming for weeks, like build up. But how they revealed it was flat awesome. I loved it. I loved how cheeky it was. I loved the little things. I saw online somewhere like somebody's like starting a group to like get her for killing Sparky. But how they revealed it, I just thought was flat awesome. There's Emmy buzz around her now for this role. Like, it was that good. But no, I think there's something more. There has to be something more. It's not just her. Because there's those breadcrumbs that we just talked about this episode. There has to be more. There's more layers. She keeps talking about her husband.
Yeah.
And everyone's kind of jumping to that kind of realm of, oh, who's her husband? Oh, okay. So that's that. And yeah, I'm excited to see. I love this episode. I didn't think it was boring.
I wish I take that back. I'll say it was not boring. I'm sorry I said that. I will say that here's what I think. I think that compared to the next two, like it was soft. Like it's gonna be crazy these next two.
It was a little exposition-y maybe.
Yeah.
But maybe not. I wouldn't go boring.
Yeah. A lot of build up for hopefully a great payoff.
Giggler, what was it like for you seeing the big reveal? And did you have any thoughts on the magic book in the basement?
I saw that. I don't know. It could be anything. I mean, I saw speculation that it's similar to like a book that was in Doctor Strange. I guess that would make total sense.
Yeah, one of the magic books like he keeps like in the back library and all that.
Yeah. But I love the reveal. Like to think like I was down for her to be in the show the whole time. Like she's really funny. Like it's just crazy that like the horny lady from Step Brothers is like
Take me, Dale.
Yeah, just want to ball you up and put you inside of me. My God, like that lady is like in the MCU now, and like not only that, she killed it so hard that she's like has people trying to get her awards for it. So it's awesome. I love that the MCU can just pull out somebody. Like think about how like every time there's a new actor now that's gonna be this new person, I'm like, who the hell is gonna play this? Everyone is already in the MCU right now. It's like once you're in it, you're set because you're gonna be in multiple movies and you're gonna have your face known. Like this Tiana Paris that plays Monica Rambeau. Like I have no idea what she was in before this, but like if she's in some random movie next year, I'll probably see it because I'm down.
Same for Tom Holland. Like that's like I'll watch his new stuff because I'm like, oh well, he's earned it in my book because he's already been in my movies. Anthony, what were you thinking? Is there anything that we're missing here? Do you know anything about this book or any predictions pertaining to Agatha Hartwell?
Sure. I echo all the thoughts as far as I thought it was a fun reveal at the end. We're all kind of on the end. We kind of we knew that she was Agatha Harkness just from talking to fellow nerds and being into it. But I think the majority of people were probably like, who the hell's Agatha Harkness? Like this was kind of a big reveal for people in that they didn't see it coming. So I think it works on multiple levels if you're a comic book fan or just a casual fan. And if you're a casual fan, you're probably now looking up Agatha Harkness. So they're doing a great job of like making the casual fan throughout the MCU have to like go onto Wikipedia and look up stuff, which is only going to enhance their brand further. I don't think this is the final villain. She's hinted a few times at her husband, Ralph, and the devil being in the details. And I think we're getting an eventual Mephisto reveal, maybe not in this show, but maybe like a tease of him coming along, similar to like a Thanos type thing. And, I think it's been really fun. I know that you guys brought up the book. I did see on Screen Crush a YouTube channel I follow that there is a book missing in the original Doctor Strange too.
Wow. Okay.
This book looks very similar. First off, the books are held in hex-like chains in Doctor Strange.
Yep.
And the book looks very similar to the book that was in Agatha's dungeon/basement. So I think there's more ties to come. And I think all of this is been in service to creating these kids that I think are going to be like, I guess, little minion. Like I think the overall plan is for the Wanda to create these kids with vision to create like little magic minions per se. So I have one little thing that I really enjoyed too. Earlier in the episode, Wiccan was like talking about his powers and how like everything's really noisy and all that. But then you notice when he sits with Agatha, he's like, "I like you. You're really quiet." Like he can't hear her thoughts. Either she's like repressing them, or she's just like a spirit, or like there's something going on with her, obviously. And then we see the reveal at the end.
Yeah. As soon as she said she's gonna take them off her hands for a minute, I was like, "Oh, you know what's happening now. She's not getting those kids back."
Yeah, there were a couple moments where I thought just to myself, like, Wanda, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, like just set off that Amber Alert right now because they're gone.
And like, what happened to him? We don't even know. I know that she took a bite out of a kid once, she said.
And then I did see online when the Wanda was having all that stuff change, and she had milk. And I say that weird. I know I'm from St. Louis, but
milk.
There was a missing persons on the carton.
Carrie caught that too.
And
just for a moment.
And somebody's like, "Well, she did bite a kid. Maybe she ate a kid, and that's the missing kid that was on that carton."
Well, wasn't you mentioned the fly or the locust that was on the wall? I mean, I think I saw on like Reddit or something, like someone was like, "Well, that could be
the plagues."
Wiccan, and then Speed would be the rabbit that was in the room.
Oh, there was a rabbit.
Oh.
Well, no,
that's
that's Mr. What's his name?
Scratchy Scratch or something like that.
Yeah, he's a good actor. Which she always says she really talks about that bunny quite a bit. She does talk about the bunny a lot though. Maybe that's Ralph too.
Well, the bunny. There was a tie that I saw online where Agatha's character. I'm not like super versed in Agatha's character, but apparently in the comics she walks around with like a cat that can become like a giant tiger. And I think there was speculation that the bunny was the sub for like the cat. So this bunny might be something else. We'll see.
I like that.
And I'm also, like you talked about, Anthony, I'm one of those fans who literally I'm on Wikipedia right now reading about Agatha. So I'm like trying to put all these stuff together, but I don't want to read too much. Yeah, I don't want to read too much because I'm like, I don't want to spoil anything, but they'll throw a curveball here and I won't even see anything coming. So,
well, there was also a mid-credit scene in this episode, like we said, like that hasn't been a thing before. I think I had turned off the show in the last two episodes. This one, I just happened to be like letting play, and it came on, and I literally was like, "Oh my gosh!" And what we get, just real quick, Monica's breaking in. It looks like to the back of Agatha's house. And we just get Evan Peters pop out of nowhere and just go, Snooper's gonna snoop. All right, let's talk about thoughts and theories for the final two episodes. I have my own. I put them out on Twitter. I'll just read. Let's just do episode 8 for now. I think we're gonna get some flashbacks. We're gonna get Wanda and like her story post blip and how she took Vision's body. And we're gonna see how Agatha got involved with that process. So we'll get an introduction to her, maybe an origin story of Agatha of sorts, whether it's flashback style or whatnot. And then we'll have like a cliffhanger to get us into episode 9, the big battle. Let's do a round table and just final thoughts on the episode. Giggler, I'll start with you. Any other theories on Agatha, Pietro? You think Vision's going to save Wanda? Like, she's obviously down in this basement now. Is she even held captive? We don't even really know yet.
Yeah.
But what do you think? Final thoughts.
I'm just worried that Pietro is going to not, like him being the Pietro from the X-Men movies is going to not be addressed. And it's just going to be kind of left out there.
I hope not.
Just to like F with our brains, maybe. But I just think, I think that there's another villain that's coordinating this to get the children. Who knows? And then what that's going to lead to. Obviously, there's going to be the battle. They're going to get him back, right? But then I keep hearing people say about how sad this show is going to be. And I'm like,
yeah, I've said it.
Kids are kidnapped. That's sad.
Yeah,
but
I've had theories that it's going to be like sad, like they're going to break our hearts with like this vision they've got us to know again. I hope not.
Are they? Yeah, I think this show will end with the kids being rescued in some manner.
You think they'll make it out in the real world, the real MCU?
For sure.
Yeah.
They're gonna be. There's gonna be some way that it's gonna have a happy ending though. But like with Wanda and the kids, maybe. But you're right. I think somebody's got to go. I just don't know who it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Who I want it to be or who I think it's gonna be. I don't know.
That's fair.
I'm perplexed on that topic for sure.
Anthony, I'll go to you. Final thoughts? Any major predictions you want to make for episode 8?
I said this when we recorded our show, which is coming out on Wednesday. I'm still I don't know what's going to happen, and I like that. we kind of know where the pieces are moving, but we still don't fully know the full story. I think the kids, as we've mentioned before, are very important. I think that was the whole gist of this. I think that's why Agatha doesn't really Agatha might have brainwashed or let Scarlet Witch know that Sword was experimenting on Vision because that would piss her off. And then she just needed Vision back to put his fake penis into Wanda and create these kids. And now he has she has no use for Vision anymore. Hence why he's kind of been gone. So I think the kids are important. I think, this show has a lot of things to address and set up. So I'm curious to see how it plays out. But I think as far as it being sad, I think, they've hinted at the point of you have to confront your grief and you have to deal with it and it becomes your truth. And I think the sadness will be the fact that I don't think we'll see Vision anymore after this. I don't think he exists outside the Hex. And I think this is the end for Vision. I think he gets one more. He gets to go out on a heroic moment of his own choosing rather than getting a stone ripped out of his head. But I don't think Vision's going to last anymore.
That's a good theory. I will say this. I hope it's not true. I really hope we get this Vision long term. But hey, I think you're probably on the right track. PC Mike, final thoughts on WandaVision this week as we prepare for the final 2 episodes.
Yeah, that's where I was kind of going. Vision gets his swan song, and he goes out on a higher note. Maybe it's somehow saving the kids or doing something like that, or setting Wanda free in a way and easing her mind. This is what needs to happen. I'm in a better place. And I still keep going back. I haven't tried to read spoilers or anything like that. That Paul Bettany interview where he says he's going to work with somebody he's never worked with and super excited about. I don't think we've seen it yet. I don't think it's Evan Peters. I don't think it's the female scientist that we got in this last episode. So I think there's going to be a big reveal, and I think it's going to come, and I think it's going to be cliffhanger-ish at the end.
Totally agree. I said the same thing about episode 9. Every MCU title is essentially a cliffhanger at some level. You have end credit scenes for all these years. I think that it will wrap up WandaVision season 1, and it will be a direct cliffhanger to either Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness or maybe even another MCU title that's going to happen in between. It does kind of pay me just to think what Falcon and Winter Soldier will get here, and it will just definitely be its independent story. It's not going to have any ties to WandaVision or anything. But that being said, that'll be cool in its own way. We'll just have a new story to explore. And by the time we start seeing the end things that affect, say, a future movie like Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, we'll appreciate it even more. It'll be exciting to see how it all connects. Man, oh man, what a show. Just got to give it up right now. Disney Plus, Marvel Studios, Kevin Feige, Jon Favreau, and the team at large have done it again. 2 episodes to go, baby. We're really excited about it.
I can't wait.
All right, let's talk about what's coming up. And we just get better and better at that every week, I think. I don't know. I'm just going to pat ourselves on the back. We brag on ourselves a lot on the show, Anthony. I don't know if you guys do the same on Jock and Nerd, but when you've done well.
We consistently take craps on ourselves, so it's nice to see someone be a little bit positive about their show.
Anthony, the last 30 minutes is just us talking about how good that show was. We record it, and you can get it on Patreon, but it's just us saying how good this was.
Yeah, stick around for the post show where we just talk about how good we are.
I'm all in.
Pretty much same old stuff happened on Mostly Superheroes week in and week out. Decades Month on the Mostly Superheroes, the music show that's exclusively on Spotify, built with Anchor. Why is it on Spotify only? Because we bring in the music from the TV and movies that I love very much. We've done the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. I just did the 2010s today. Stuff from the last decade all the way to 2019. And it was a lot of fun. Get over and check it out. I already gave you a little teaser with Workaholics. Yeah, that was on the list.
I appreciate that.
I've also got some MCU movies in there, some not MCU stuff. We try to mix it up, and it's something totally different from this show. It's audio only. It's usually just me, even though still got to get you guys on the show at some point. I'm sure we'll make it happen. The MCU rewatch, we did Thor, The Dark World today. Next up, Captain America, The Winter Soldier. Use that hashtag MCU rewatch and let us know your favorite parts, your rating. Maybe get featured on the show next week. And lastly, WandaVision, of course. Episode 8 review will be next week, second to last episode. And actually, Anthony, I do the same thing that Imran does with his fresh, I think he calls them fresh takes or instant reactions for WandaVision. He sends it to the Jock and Nerd Nation. That's the name of their squad group over there. We do the same thing on this show. Every Friday I write a newsletter to our newsletter subscribers, and after I watch WandaVision at 7 a.m., I just get on the microphone and I rant for about 3 to 5 minutes, just give you my instant take, what I thought, and then you get a nice newsletter kind of recapping what's going on in the show. You get a little insider knowledge on the inside scoop, and you can actually reply right to that email and end up in fan mail. It's that easy. Something new every day at mostlysuperheroes.com. We got a full schedule. Ever since we talked about putting it on a pillow, I haven't stopped thinking about it. It's because we just opened up our merch store. So I'm thinking we got to get this onto a pillow or a tote bag. But if you're ever wondering what Mostly Superheroes is up to and when, it's right there at mostlysuperheroes.com, our full on schedule. Anthony, where can people find you online? Tell people where they can find Jock and Nerd and anything else that you've been doing. I actually listened to you on 2 Peas in a Podcast. Is that what it's called? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, 2 Peas on a Pod. Yeah, the top 5s.
The top 5s on 2 Peas in a Pod. You did a nice job. You did the top MCU titles you were excited for. Where else can people find you, and what else are you doing online?
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, we are on all the major podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, Android, Stitcher, whatever the hell else you listen to podcasts on, iHeartRadio. We have a Twitter, Jock and Nerd Cast. We have an Instagram, Jock and Nerd, or the Jock and Nerd Podcast. I don't know. It's something like that on Instagram. I don't really. I follow us, but not really. And we drop episodes every Wednesday. For all the info, just go to jockandnerd.com and check us out.
Well, I got to say, man, you fit right in, and I hope you had a good time. We'd love to have
That's
you back
great.
on if it sounds all right to you.
Anytime, man. Anytime you want me on, I will make time for you guys. You guys are all a bunch of cool dudes.
Fantastic.
So
Awesome.
are you?
Yeah, absolutely. That was.
man.
I love whenever it just feels like we've just had another one of us, just another person that loves these movies too much and wants to nerd out about them.
We're
That's
just building up to a giant, just convergence of like what is the big crossover at the end of
like
the CW shows,
the Crisis on
Yeah.
Infinite.
Yes,
It's like Crisis of
podcasts.
Infinite Podcasts or
Yes.
something.
Or just a convergence, just like Thor: The Dark World.
exactly. That's the
That's-
word that
We're
was
just
coming to
gonna
mind. I couldn't get that word
we're
out of
gonna
my
morph into each other's podcasts.
head.
Giggler, did you have a good time today? What are you excited for most coming up on the show next up?
I'm most excited for just to see what the hell happens in these last 2 episodes. It's like my week revolves around just, is it Friday yet? I mean, that's really no different than normal life because you just got to get
It's right,
through that
though.
work week. But like Fridays are a pain because my wife doesn't want to watch until 4 o'clock when we're off work. And I'm like, I want to just say, fuck work and watch the show right now at 8 a.m. I don't care if my phone's ringing off the hook. I have 1,000 emails. Like, just give me 47 minutes to watch this next episode. But I never get my way. So gotta always wait till 4. Hope I don't see any spoilers or anything.
Yeah, I would say you got to stay offline because
that's
it's
the
terrible.
worst part.
Yeah.
Mikey thought he saw a spoiler last Friday about a villain potentially being in it or an appearance, and then it was like not even a thing because like you see something and you only see it for like a split second. You're like, get off my phone.
Why don't you guys just watch it right when you get up?
Ask Steph. I don't know.
All right. Well, sorry that you got to wait so long, but hey, man, I'm with you. It's like all week I'm just going, oh, WandaVision's Friday. PC Mike, final words for the squad.
I'm excited for WandaVision, but I'm also excited. Me and Andy got in here a little early today, and the March bracket, what are we calling it? March
Yeah, we're
movie.
using the hashtag mostly madness. Yeah, so Anthony, not to put you on the spot, I'll try to rant here for a minute and give you a second, but we actually filled in 98% of a movie tournament that we're doing called hashtag mostly madness. It's going to follow the March Madness schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a favorite movie out the top of your head that you'd be willing to say like this would be a good fit for a movie tournament? The category is any movie.
And the preface, kind of how we thought of these movies. You're sitting at home. You had a fun Saturday night. It's Sunday. We kind of thought, if it comes on the TV, what would you like to have on the TV that you enjoy, that you stop every single time it's on to watch?
And just to give a mixed bag of like kind of a few titles that are in this, yeah, there's like Avengers Endgame is in there, but so is Forrest Gump. So Dumb and Dumber made the cut. We also have in there The Town with Ben Affleck. So it could be literally any category. It's kind of like your go-to favorite movie when you tell friends about stuff.
Oh man, one of my all-time favorite movies. I mean, as a kid and even as an adult growing up, it just is further enriching. And I'm sorry to see that this franchise has just gone down the toilet since. But Terminator 2 for me is one of the best sci-fi films of all time. One of the best films I've ever seen. One of the best sequels. One of the best films. One of the best sci-fi films. One of Arnold's best. I mean, it has everything you could ever want in a sci-fi action movie.
Well, that is a great title. I love the Terminator films, and it's a totally different genre I don't think we've even covered. So that might sneak its way in. This is a great time to tell you listeners and viewers that we are taking the final submissions this week. Write us in at mostlysuperheroes.com. Tell us on social media. We've got like the schedule right now of how we're going to do this. We're going to be polling on social media accounts, all of them. We're going to do it. We got a nice for each round going from the getting to the Sweet 16 to the Elite 8 to the Final Four to the big championship, and already looking at the first round, some of these matchups are crazy. You got like the Dark Knight Rises versus like Forrest Gump, like things that will really make you think.
But then you have those movies that you just love, like those comedies that we threw in there and all. It's a mixed bag.
Yep.
Which it's not who won the Oscar for Best Picture that year, but it's like, oh, I get to watch Dumb and Dumber and be an idiot again. Like, it's that.
Who doesn't like to be a degenerate and fill out a bracket too?
Yeah, we're gonna definitely do like a bracket component on the website. You can send
You could
in
do a
brackets.
bracket with like pencil sizes and things, and I'd probably fill it out.
Yeah,
just
for
'cause
sure. It's like
at that point.
That's
It's
what
just
we
a bracket.
figured. It's just something fun to do. It's going to be an annual tournament we're doing every year. So we thought the first one, like we might do themes in the future, right? Like maybe we do like an MCU one or just superheroes. This year is just open category. You got a favorite movie. Now's your time to tell us. The best chance for it to end up in the tournament, you write into the show, you tell us why it needs to be in there because you got to make an argument for it. Anthony did a great job, and I think Terminator 2 might make the cut. We'll see.
I think I can say that it's going to be in the tournament.
Yeah, this is like our main bracket guy. So if he says it's in, it's in. All right, folks. Appreciate all your time today. PC, Mike, Giggler, Anthony. Hope you come back and see us. We'll be listening to Jock and Nerd. In the meantime, new episodes of Mostly Superheroes every single week as well. You can check that out at mostlysuperheroes.com. You guys have a great night, great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time. Take it easy.